Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another comparison between the new Canon EOS 90D versus the Canon EOS RP. Some of you text me already on Instagram that it's not possible to compare these two cameras with each other. Well, and how is it possible that I have uploaded this comparison to YouTube? Well, it is possible. Some of you might consider to get a Pro DSLR, and some others of you might consider to get a low budget full frame camera. And that's why I did this comparison, because both cameras are quite close to each other in terms of pricing. If you have any further questions or if you would like to add something, please feel free to add a comment under this video. All sample images and videos can be found in the video description below. Enjoy this review and all the best from Frankfurt, Germany. Here are the two beauties, Aps-C versus full frame. The EOS 90D is bulkier and fits better in bigger hands, while the 90D weighs 700 grams compared to the full frame EOS RP with only 440 grams. The grip is fine using both bodies while your small fingers floats in the air using the EOS RP. Both camera bodies have a dust and splash protection. Feel free to place them on any tripod with the mount on the lower side. A slot for the memory card of the EOS 90D is at the side, which is much better than having it at the bottom like seen on the Canon EOS RP. But why? Imagine your camera on a tripod and you need to change the SD card. Well, that is easier with the slot at the side. My favorite card is listed in the video description below. If we take a look at the top, you will notice the lock switch at the mode dial and the head display on the EOS 90D, and none of these features on the EOS RP. Both cameras have a hot shoe to attach an external microphone, flash or video light. One thing is new on the EOS 90D compared to its predecessor is the thumb controller. Well done, Canon! The entire workflow is much faster using the thumb controller than using just your fingers. Both cameras are equipped with a port to attach an external microphone and headphones. If you want to play back your files, you can do so by using the HDMI port. The EOS RP has a USB-C port, while the EOS 90D only has a micro USB port. Why? If you want to use the camera in combination with a gimbal, most of them use USB-C. Welcome in 2019. In addition to that, there is a port for remote control on the EOS RP and 90D. Since we are comparing a mirrorless camera with a DSLR, you will look through an electronic viewfinder using the EOS RP with its almost 2.4 million pixels. Since the 90D is a DSLR, you will only see some essential parameters like ISO, shutter speed and aperture looking through its optical viewfinder. If you come from Canon or change to Canon, you will notice that the menu is well structured. The touch display of both cameras is great for any kind of input and you will find things really easy. Let's hold here for a second. Both monitors measure 7.5 centimeters or 3 inches with a resolution of 1 million dots. You can control them via the touch display. You can turn both monitors towards you to vlog yourself or take any kind of selfies. Frankfurt to test the internal microphone of the Canon EOS 90D. I don't know if it's good or not. I will find that out later on. And as you can see, there's the skyline in the background. So here is the internal microphone of the Canon EOS RP. At the moment I'm shooting with the RF lens. It's a 24 to 105mm here at the Main River in Frankfurt. None of these two bodies have a 5-axis image stabilizer, but they do feature a digital one which can be found in the red menu. While using it, you will notice that the camera will crop in a bit. Both cameras are equipped with a Wi-Fi interface. Make sure to download the Canon Camera Connect app, which is available for free for iOS and Android. With this app you can control the camera, change settings and download old files onto your phone. A guide on how to do this is available on my YouTube channel. Let's discuss the major differences of a full frame camera and an APS-C sensor camera. Well, as you might know, the EOS 90D has an APS-C sensor with 32.5 megapixels, while the EOS RP has a full frame sensor with a resolution of 26 megapixels. you have more control over the depth of field and a better low light performance using a full frame camera with less megapixels. While Aps-C sensor cameras are in general cheaper, there are more lenses you can use and the low light performance is not as good as using a full frame camera. A last and really important detail is the crop factor of 1.6 using Canon's Aps-C sensor cameras. In the city center of Frankfurt we did test the low light performance. All of the following examples are available for download, the link is listed in the video description below. Till ISO 6400 both cameras deliver a decent result. At ISO 12800 you can start to see the benefit of having a full frame sensor with less megapixels. ISO 40000 using the EOS RP looks like ISO 25600 on the 90D with its Aps-C sensor. The limit on the EOS RP is at ISO 102400 and 51200 on the EOS 90D. Don't waste your time on thinking too much about ISO. Get a tripod or a lens with a fast aperture and problem solved, except for recording videos. Which camera would I take when it comes to video recording? I have a clear answer on that. I would take the Canon EOS 90D. Many people would ask now why. It has only an Aps-C sensor instead of a full frame and I am a full frame guy. Let's compare. The EOS RP records at 4K with maximum 25 frames and takes also 24 frames per second footage, if this means something to you. Well, do you see any difference here? The EOS 90D records 4K without a crop factor. By the way, I didn't have any overheating issues since I limited my recording time up to 5 minutes. Recording 1080p footage with a maximum 60 frames per second is possible using both bodies, with a small but major difference that the EOS 90D can take slow motion video with 120 frames per second. Without audio, but it does slow motion, whereas the EOS RP does not take any slow motion video at all, not even 720p. You might say, well, but it takes cool pictures. That's the same with your phone. You can call, send text messages, and it takes videos also in slow motion because people expect this today. In my point of view, it would have been necessary to put slow motion video onto the EOS RP at least in 720p. None of these two bodies supports Canon Log 4 color grading. You can use standard picture profiles with neutral colors, or maybe Canon will bring out a firmware update for log profile at some day. One feature I really like is Canon's Time-Lapse Mode. You can choose between 4K and Full HD, set an interval, and the camera does the rest for you. You can take a series of shots with 5 frames per second using the EOS RP, while the 90D takes 10 frames per second. With AF tracking it's even less, 4 frames per second using the EOS RP and still 7 frames per second using the 90D. Using the live view you would be able to take 11 frames per second using the 90D without AF tracking. Taking series makes sense for sports, animal and other fast moving subjects like cars. Let's get to something which was really good using both cameras, the autofocus. For this test I used only native lenses. I moved, I turned around and I used the eye autofocus. Both cameras tracked me without any problems. Since we are approaching the end of this review, we should speak about the image quality at least once. We are comparing a 26 megapixel full frame sensor with a 32.5 megapixel Aps-C sensor with each other. Mirrorless versus DSLR. Well, you have a better control over the depth of field using the EOS RP. Also, when it comes to low light, you will definitely notice a better performance using a full frame sensor instead of an Aps-C sensor. If you mainly take your photos during the day and you care more about details, then go for the 90D. But bear in mind the crop factor of 1.6 using an Aps-C camera. That matters a lot when taking photos in closed rooms without much space available. In my point of view, the EOS RP might be the better option in regard to dynamic range. It might sound picky, but you will notice a difference during post-editing, comparing both RAW files with each other. That does not mean that the EOS 90D is a bad camera. Lots of megapixels, great neutral looking colors and a fast working out of focus system. If you mainly take your photos in JPEG without any post-editing, it does not really matter which camera you take. You just have to consider the crop factor and megapixels. And which camera should you buy now? Well, that's an important question. A full frame camera or an Aps-C sensor camera? First of all, the EOS RP can be seen as an entry-level full frame mirrorless camera in the lower price segment, whereas the 90D can be seen as a pro Aps-C sensor camera in the upper price segment. More dynamic range, better low light performance, and all the new RF lenses are pros for the EOS RP. While you can take up to 10 photos per second 4K video without crop, slow motion video using the 90D. The 90D has now a thumb controller, which makes it so easy to control the camera. Comparing all these specs with each other, I would go for the 90D, which is the better all-rounder and up-to-date camera in my point of view. The LPE6N battery lasts much longer on the EOS 90D compared to the EOS RP, which uses a battery for entry-level cameras. If you're still unsure, take them into your hands, take a couple shots, do some videos or download the ones which are provided from the video description below. Thanks to Canon Germany and GM-Foto who are supporting me for this camera comparison. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and to follow me on Instagram, where you see all the upcoming reviews before everyone else. All the best from Frankfurt and see you soon.